At 25 years of age, when most Romans of his class were still trying to secure their first political appointments or attach themselves to a powerful patron, Gaius Julius Caesar found himself on a small vessel drifting across the restless waters of the Aegean Sea. His destination was Rhodes, where he intended to study oratory under Apollonius Molon, one of the greatest teachers of rhetoric. Yet fate, which would shadow his life with both opportunity and peril, had prepared a test that would expose the extraordinary contours of his character long before he became a name that dominated the Roman world. The Aegean at dawn was a deceptive place, shimmering with soft light and appearing as calm as a polished mirror. But beneath its brightness lurked danger. Cilician pirates, infamous throughout the Mediterranean, prowled the region with boldness born from experience. They were ruthless, fast, and clever. They captured merchant vessels, raided coastal towns, and occasionally seized travelers who appeared wealthy enough to fetch a profitable ransom. On that morning, their swift ships emerged suddenly from the horizon like dark shadows slicing through the pale water. Caesar's ship, lightly armed and focused more on travel than defense, was overwhelmed with unsettling ease. The young Roman noble was taken prisoner, his small retinue disarmed, and his luggage rifled through by calloused hands accustomed to plunder. Most captives trembled, pleaded, or tried to bargain. Caesar did none of these things. Even in chains, he carried himself with that unmistakable posture of someone who believed the world owed him space to breathe. The pirates, watching him closely, seemed unsure of how such a young man could exhibit such a disorienting combination of calmness and disdain. The leader of the pirates informed him that the ransom would be 20 talents of silver. It was a considerable sum, enough to ruin an ordinary family. Caesar looked at them with a mixture of amusement and irritation, as if offended not by the kidnapping itself but by the undervaluation of his worth. 20 talents. Absolutely not. He told them, almost laughing. He insisted that they demand 50. A stunned silence passed across the rough faces around him. No captive had ever asked to have his own price raised. But Caesar, with the absolute belief that he was destined for something larger than the world could yet see, simply instructed them to send messengers to collect the higher sum. His tone suggested not a plea but an order. As the pirates moved him to their island camp, Caesar behaved not like a man at the mercy of criminals but like a visiting official inconvenienced by incompetent hosts. Far from showing fear, he exuded an audacity so overwhelming that the pirates shifted from contempt to fascination. He joined their meals without invitation, issued commands as though he were their commander, and treated his captors as if they were soldiers temporarily assigned to him. He wrote poetry and speeches while in captivity, reciting them aloud. Whenever the pirates failed to appreciate his work, he reprimanded them for their lack of education. If they talked too loudly when he wished to sleep, he ordered them to be silent, and to everyone's surprise, they obeyed. Among themselves, the pirates laughed and shook their heads, calling him a strange and entertaining young Roman who seemed incapable of understanding danger. But beneath their amusement lay a subtle, growing unease. Caesar spoke often, too often. Perhaps, with casual certainty about what he would do once he was free. He promised them that he would come back, and when he did, he would crucify them. They chuckled at what they thought was bravado, yet the way he said it, without raising his voice, without trembling, without hesitation, made the words linger longer than they should have. Days turned into weeks. The ransom, now doubled thanks to Caesar's own insistence, took time to gather. Messengers had to travel across seas and land to assemble the funds. Meanwhile, Caesar forged an unusual rhythm with the pirates. They treated him with peculiar respect, partly because he paid them compliments as if they were his subordinates, and partly because he carried himself like a man who had already outlived the danger. Even chained, he had the presence of someone entirely undefeated, when the ransom finally arrived, Caesar was released. He stepped off the pirate ship with the easy calm of someone disembarking from an inconvenient but temporary journey. But the moment his feet touched Roman-controlled territory, he changed from captive to commander. He immediately raised a small fleet, assembled loyal men, and set out toward the pirates' island with ruthless efficiency. He knew their habits, their routes, their hiding places. The men who had thought him merely an unusually confident aristocrat now faced the wrath of someone who did not forget insults and did not forgive threats. He caught them with astonishing speed. There was no negotiation, no hesitation, no sympathy. The pirates surrendered, expecting, hoping, for leniency due to their former, strangely polite interactions with him. Caesar ensured that the Roman governor of Asia received them officially, but when he saw that the governor hesitated to punish them, preferring to sell them into slavery for profit, Caesar took matters into his own hands. Acting with the authority that he believed he possessed by right, he ordered their execution by crucifixion, fulfilling his promise. Yet even this act bore the mark of his complicated nature. He instructed that their throats be cut beforehand to shorten their suffering. A gesture of measured brutality rather than blind cruelty, the entire episode revealed more about Caesar than perhaps any event from his youth. It demonstrated his courage bordering on recklessness, his certainty in his own destiny, his ability to command through sheer force of personality, and a streak of cold, surgical ruthlessness that would become a defining trait of his leadership. The pirates had captured a young Roman nobleman, but they had unknowingly revealed the iron beneath the charm. This was a man who could turn captivity into performance, danger into opportunity, insult into vengeance, and humiliation into proof of superiority, in the years that followed, as Caesar rose through the ranks of Roman politics. Waged wars, formed alliances, and reshaped the Republic's very foundations. The story of his kidnapping by pirates became almost legendary. It was told and retold because it contained, in miniature, the essence of the man he would become. It showed a leader who refused to be diminished by circumstance, who treated every obstacle as a stage on which to demonstrate his superiority, and who possessed a charisma so intense that even armed criminals found themselves obeying him. But the tale also carried a darker undertone, that beneath the brilliance, beneath the charm, beneath the strategic mind, there lay a relentless will that could not be deterred. Caesar believed in his own greatness before the world recognized it. And he acted with the conviction of someone who expected fate to bend around him. The pirates, in their arrogance, believed they had captured a wealthy traveler. What they had actually seized was a force of nature, wrapped in youth, ambition, and an unshakable belief in his own destiny. Thus the Aegean episode stands not as an anecdote of adventure but as a portrait of a man who, even at 25, carried within him the seeds of empire. The Mediterranean winds that once pushed the pirate ships toward him would later carry the banners of his legions. The arrogance he displayed on that island was the same defiance he would show to senators, generals, and kings. And the ruthless justice he inflicted on the pirates foreshadowed the uncompromising discipline he would bring to the battlefields of Gaul. The political arena of Rome, and the final struggles that would reshape the ancient world. It was on that quiet island in the Aegean, under the indifferent sun and the watchful eyes of hardened criminals, that Caesar revealed a truth about himself. He would not bow, he would not beg, and he would not forget. He emerged from captivity not humbled but affirmed, not shaken but sharpened, stepping back into the world with the confidence of someone who believed, with perfect clarity, that history belonged to him.